continuing work in our downtown area here. We're actually going to be doing some track laying today. And this is something that I have been sort of debating whether or not I should do pretty much since I started the route. So what we're going to do today is we're going to expand the track northward. Just a few tiles. I think it was like 4 tiles. I put them down right at the very beginning here and I didn't look. But we're going to expand this about 4 tiles to the north. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to add a small yard. And this is... So if you go to Google Earth and you bring up Kingston, New York, which is what this whole area is based off of, and you'll look at where the Catskill Mountain branch comes off the main line, just north of that is the Kingston Yard, which is now on the river sub part of CSX. So I wanted to include something like that because this will allow for some operation and some sessions that I can make where there might be a transfer from the main yard here onto the DBEV. So I thought that would be kind of interesting. And again, while I'm not trying to, rip off the Catskill Mountain branch as a whole, or, the city of Kingston or anything like that, that has been my inspiration, and I'm pulling a lot of that sort of layout from the real deal. So this is supposed to just be a small yard, like a local yard. It's not a division point yard. At one time in Kingston, New York, the yard was massive. It had a turntable and engine servicing facilities, and you name it during the steam era and the 1940s and 50s even. It was a very busy sort of division point yard, I guess. But in recent history, even through the 70s, 80s, 90s, the yard has been pretty much skimmed down to just a handful of tracks. So that was sort of the same idea that I wanted to go through here. And I ended up actually doing a lot of this track work off camera because there was a lot of me tinkering with exactly how I was going to lay out the junctions and where they were going to go and that sort of thing. But I knew I just wanted, I think I did like 4 or 5, maybe 6 at the most storage tracks. And I wanted the main on either side. So you've got the far top side is a main track, and then the bottom side is a main track. So the yard actually, the yard storage tracks are in the middle. And that's how the real thing is. And I thought that it's an interesting design in my opinion. So I wanted to sort of recreate that a little tiny bit, and just instead of making like a perfectly off-shooting yard ladder like you normally would, I wanted this one to be a little bit weird, I guess, or a little bit different. Sort of like there were more tracks there at one time, and over the years they added a switch track here, and they removed this other track, and then maybe they removed another section of that track and put a switch there, and certain things don't quite match up. It's not a perfect yard ladder. So that's sort of what I'm going for here. On the other side, on the far northern side, I actually do just do like a regular standard yard ladder, and that was partially out of like my own, I don't want to say laziness, but my own necessity to just try to like tie it up, and get done with it. So right here, I decided that, or I realized that I needed a little bit more of a lead, like a yard lead. Like I said, this isn't supposed to be like a major switching yard or anything like that. This is more for like local trains, or through trains to drop off some cars that are just for local industries and switching and that sort of thing. So I still needed a little bit of a yard lead, but I didn't need like a full length yard lead. So I needed a little bit, so I expanded the track down and sort of made it triple track through here, as you can see. So I'm changing out the ballast color as well. I don't know if you guys noticed in the last episode, in the very beginning, I put down some ballast, and it was definitely not the right color. So I did find the right color ballast. Here you can see the northern side, which, again, it's not your perfect yard ladder, but it is a little bit, it's not this, so, but anyway, the operations for this section are just to be more for local traffic. Really, I built it specifically for a couple of sessions that I have in mind where either Conrail or the DBEV goes out onto the main line and retrieves some cars or switches some stuff in that main line yard. And in my head, like, that's just kind of an interesting operation. Maybe to see the ex-Penn Central RS1 on the main line next to some Conrail, I don't know, SD40-2s or something like that, something more modernish, air quotes, or whatever. I don't know. All right, I don't know engines, all right? I was going to say, like, it's not Gevos or whatever, modern looking stuff. Okay, I don't know engines. All right, so sue me. Anyway, so we're done with that. That's it for the track laying. Now I'm trying to close up again the edges of the main part of the city here, and I don't know if I laid it down yet or if I'm gonna lay it down, but there's a big hotel that I put right at the end. There it is on the right there. I hate that. I hate it, but it was the only way that I could figure how to like end this without it just kind of going off into like the edge of the baseboard. So I put this big hotel here. It kind of reminds me a bit of, it's not exact, but it kind of reminds me a bit of like the hotel from Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, the Plaza Hotel in New York City. It kind of reminds me of that, and I decorated up kind of nicely to hide the fact that it's really just a really low resolution building. But the thing that I don't like about it is that this main road here just goes straight into it, and it just kind of stops, and it just feels like a hard bookend. And I don't necessarily like that, but there's really no need for me to continue the city beyond that point. Like, that's it. I need to stop right there. So that was the way that I decided to do it. And I do detail it up so that it doesn't look so, I don't know, solid, I guess. So adding these sidewalks here, and I do add some tree planters and stuff like that in front of it, and that definitely helps with it. But again, this is so far away from the main tracks, that it's almost not. It's not necessary, because you need some background buildings, but it's really not necessary for me to detail it so much, because it's just this structure in the back. And that said, I am having some difficulties with how to put some of these other buildings back here, because I do need to add some other city buildings and stuff like that. And this area I kind of picture as being like the financial district, or the business district of the town. In the real world, this doesn't exist. There's not 20-story, 10, 14-story buildings in Kingston, New York at all. I think the tallest building might be 8 stories or something like that, and that's the DMV building. So this is totally, fictional at this point, but I like the idea of having sort of a bigger city built up around this old right-of-way, right next to the old tracks, and the tracks are still there, and that sort of look I'm kind of into. But anyway, what I was trying to get at is that these background buildings I'm having a hard time with, because I want to put sidewalks down, and I want to put the traffic lights down, and I want to do this kind of stuff, but it's totally not necessary. But it just feels so wrong for me to just put a building down without like a connecting road for it to for people to get to. Like, I don't know why I struggle with that so much, but just kind of plopping it down on gray texture and sort of calling it a day is, while it works because it's a background building, it's hard for me to do. So I'm trying to wrap this up and make it work, but not be lazy about it, I guess. And that is proving to be a little bit more difficult for me than I had expected. And I think that this might be one of the reasons why you really don't see a lot of people trying to do a big downtown city scene like this, because it is so complex. There's just so many layers of things going on here. You've got your roads, you've got your cars, you've got traffic lights, street lights, people on the road signs, trash cans, construction workers. There's just many layers of things that you can put down. And that's what really interests me about doing city scenes, is that there's just so many different things to do. It's not like you're just planting some trees and some shrubs and stuff here and there. There's a lot of stuff that you can do, and there's a lot of history that you can add to it, depending on, for example, right now, like, what fence do you choose? Do you put down a new fence that's shiny and new, or do you put down a rusted old fence? What kind of mood does the difference between those two convey? What are these shrubs, convey? Are they there intentionally, or are they there because the area hasn't seen traffic in so long that they've kind of sprouted up on their own because it hasn't been maintained? Those kind of choices really intrigue me, because that tells the story, and that's sort of what I'm trying to do here. But it's not for everybody. It's definitely, doing city scenes is not for everybody, and so far, a lot of the cities that I've seen have been very simplified in this game, and there's good reason. There's really good reason for that, because this is, as you can see, I mean, I don't know how many episodes I've dedicated to this, and not only just that, but you know how much time I've done off camera to try to fill in some spaces. And speaking of filling in spaces, here's a good example of that. Is I've got these buildings here. To the left is a road, and to the bottom of the screen here is another road. So I've got my buildings there, but there's this huge amount of negative space that I'm like, okay, I don't want to put another road in, because I don't want to like crowd it up with roads and stuff too much, and I don't want the density of buildings to be too extreme, right? So what am I going to put in here? So I put a little bit of parking, and I added like sort of like a little green space for these apartments or whatever they are. Maybe it's offices and they've got like little outdoor seating or something like that. And I was so tempted to put like those little umbrella tables or picnic tables and stuff in there, and I'm like, stop! No, not today. Don't do it. So I just kept it simple there, put some grass. No, I don't even know if I put grass down. I know I put some trees down, but just trying to fill in that spot so that it doesn't, you know, look too out of place, that there's a big empty area there. And then this last little bit here, I just needed some, I got tired of looking at all these buildings and stuff like that, so I was like, let me try and add some sort of tanks in here. And again, I couldn't bring myself to just plop them down and just call it a day. I had to put the berm, or whatever you call it, the perimeter around it, so if there was any leaks or anything like that, they get contained. And then I didn't like the way that just looked, so now I'm putting in these cement blocks, or whatever this is, cement slabs, as the ground texture. And you know, I got to tweak things and move them around a little tiny bit. But that's it. So that's going to do it for the build for today. We're going to get into some cinematics, which I don't have in front of me because I haven't recorded them yet, so I can't commentate on them. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode and you've been enjoying the Debev series and whatever else is on my channel at the moment. If you have, leave me a like, leave me a comment below. You can do the Patreon thing. There's a link below and all that kind of stuff. Hit me up on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Discord. PM or DM me for the Discord link. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.